the general principles of valuation. Right? Now then moving down, you can see valuation of assets in a scheme. All right, it provides for in terms of quoted investment should be based on 1 and 2 below. Right? So those are quoted investments, how the valuation of the assets of the scheme. All right, now just to read you very quickly, in terms of the assets in the scheme, I repeat that, value of the assets of the scheme based on the official closing price or the last known transacted price on the organized market on which the scheme is quoted. That's one. Or the transacted price on the organized market on which the investment is quoted at the cut-off time specified in the scheme's prospectus and applied consistently by the manager. Unless, underline that one, such price is not representative or not available to the market. Then the manager should be responsible for determining with due care and good faith whether the price should be considered representative. So there's a provision for them if 1 or 2 is not available. Now that's in relation to quoted investments. Now paragraph F talks about unquoted investments. All right, so how do you value unquoted investments, right? So the value of the scheme's assets in case of unquoted investments and quoted investments where the transacted prices are not representative or not available to the market should be based on underlying fair value. All right, this is again another technical term. So what is fair value? Right, now fair value should be the price that the scheme would reasonably expect to receive upon the current sale of the investment. Right? So that's a definition for you to note. Fair value should be determined with due care and good faith. So those are the two principles, due care and good faith. And the manager should ensure, keyword ensure, that the basis for determining the fair value of the investment is documented. Right? So the meaning of fair value is subject to challenge, right? If participants are not happy with the fair value that has been arrived at by the manager. Okay? Except for quoted investments, paragraph G, all investments of the scheme should be valued by a person approved by the trustee as qualified to value such assets. That's key, all right? This is the first hurdle. All right. Quoted investments are quite clear. It's quoted on the market, all right? Quoted on the organized market, quoted on the exchange. So that's quite clear. But unquoted ones can be problematic. All right. So all investment of the scheme, except for quoted investment, should be valued by a person approved by the trustee as qualified to value such assets. So they must be a qualified person. All right, to be able to have the professional judgment, right, the experience, exercise due care and good faith in arriving at the fair value. Right, where the H, pay attention to H, where the market value or the fair value of a material portion of a scheme's assets cannot be determined, then the manager should suspend valuation and dealing in the units in the scheme. Right. Now then paragraph I talks about basis other than market valuations. Right. The value of the assets of a scheme may be determined by using methods other than those specified in paragraph 64E. All right, that's above. You look at 64E. All right, in terms of quoted investment, official closing price or last known transacted price on the organized market, all right, or at the cutoff time, and that's 6.4E, or F, which we have talked about, unquoted investments at fair value. Then the trustees agrees with the alternative method. Right? Such evaluation may be performed again by a person approved by a trustee as qualified to value the scheme's investments. All right. So there are 2 points there in terms of how to value the assets of a scheme for quoted investments, for unquoted investments. Right? If these two are not possible, then the trustee may agree to an alternative method, and such method may be performed by a person approved by the trustee as qualified to value the scheme's investment. I hope that's clear in terms of valuation of assets of a collective investment scheme. Now, how frequent does the evaluation need to take place? All right, so the manager should ensure that the units in the scheme are valued every business day. All right, up to date, up to the mark. Where the scheme does not offer dealing every business day, it should be valued every regular dealing day. All right, but in any event, at least once a month. So that's a timeline for you. And where it's a property fund, it must comply with Appendix 6 property funds, and it should have a full valuation at least once a year. All right? And the manager should subject to 6.4J, that's a frequency of valuation, publish the value of a unit of the scheme at least once every dealing day. Right? So that's in terms of valuation. Now, very quickly, then we look at rounding differences, round up or round down, and you turn the page there. They give you some example, an example of rounding up or rounding down the differences. All right. Okay. Now, then look at the next paragraph, paragraph E, valuation errors and compensations. All right. Now, of course, I mean, in life, there are always errors made in any evaluation. So, where manager becomes aware of an error in the calculation of the scheme's NAV per unit, the manager should notify the MAS and the trustee by using the template set up in illustration 4. Illustration 4 is just across the page of the error as soon as practicable. A revised valuation should be performed by the person responsible for the valuation for each valuation date during the period where the error occurred to ascertain the size of the error. All right. Now, note B, where valuation represents 0.5% or more of the scheme's NAV per unit,